We often hide from it, but the fear of not being good enough haunts us all. At least that's been my experience. So this exploration, we're gonna, delve in a little bit to the roots of passive fear and how it impacts our lives. There was a thing that I heard many years ago. It was written by Marion Williamson from Return to Love, talking about our deepest fear. And so I just want to share that with you real quick. And it goes something like this. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about things about shrinking so other people don't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just for some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And so I heard that many years ago. As a matter of fact, I heard it was as a mix. And there was some Muhammad Ali in there, how great I am. And, I turned the light out, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it was really powerful. And I was thinking about this, I was in a course I'm in a course this weekend, Money Mindset Moves. And today wasn't even about money. It was just about mindset and beliefs. And how our fears really stop us from doing stuff. And I was starting to think, okay, what do I do when I feel fear? In the past, as soon as I would feel fear, my instant reaction is to shrink, is to find a way to avoid this thought that I think of what may happen, as opposed to, step back and say, this is just a moment in time. I can give this any meaning I want. And I'm free to decide what that meaning is. I would make it mean the world's coming to an end. Everything is going to be doom and gloom. I'm going to have the worst possible life experience, and on and on and on. And then I focus on that thing. And all of a sudden I hijack my brain. My brain can't even function properly. So I had to teach myself over the years how to get better at that. And I did get a better at that. But then there was these unconscious behaviors and beliefs that are just there, that just kind of, like how sometimes you'll smell well, at least for me, and anytime I smell coconut bread, bacon, it reminds me of my grandmother. And I just feel good. Well, there's other triggers like that in our life. Like there's things that happen that maybe we saw our parents go through, or people that we care about go through. And every time we see something similar to that, we have that reaction and that response just like they did. And it's not even part of our life. It's part of their life. And it had nothing to do with me or at all. And I took that on as part of my identity. So what I'm learning to do these days is to really embrace the idea that the future is always going to be bright, and there's always going to be opportunity. And that when I'm experiencing fear of any kind, to just be with it, to embrace it, and to understand, okay, this is in that moment. But if I really don't do anything, these are the things that are going to happen. And I think just getting this new association to it causes it to show up differently in my life. So what exactly am I saying here? Well, I think what I'm saying is that something happens, become present to it, become consciously aware of it, and maybe ask a different question. What does this mean, or how can I process this or deal with this differently? Or what resources do I have available to me and for me right now? And how is this going to serve me? Often a lot of times when fear shows up is because I perceive that there's going to be a loss. There's going to be some kind of inconvenience. There's going to be some kind of disruption. And I go back to last week, when we were working on the lawnmower and the drive shaft. There was a clip that held it in, but we didn't know that at the time. And that clip broke inside the transmission. And when it broke, the whole shaft came out. And so my biggest fear was I'm not going to be able to cut the grass. It wasn't, how am I going to fix this? It was, I'm not going to be able to cut this grass. I got a lot of grass to cut. It's going to create all these other challenges. And I'm thinking about all the things, and I should have done that first. I should have started the cutting the grass first before I dealt with this. I only would have delayed the inevitable because it would have happened anyway because we were changing out tires. And so I got all projected into the future about all the things. Oh, I got to get new equipment. The equipment costs this much money. And all these other fears started to come up. And in front of me had nothing to do with any of those things. It was, I have a situation here. I need to get it fixed. What can I do? And so we started to tinker around, and eventually we pulled everything apart. And then when we pulled everything apart, it got worse because as we opened up the case, I watched the video on YouTube. And when I watched the video on YouTube, nothing fell out of the gearbox of this particular drive motor this guy was working on. But when I pulled it apart for the one I had, like the gears fell out. And that even triggered another fear of, oh my God, how am I going to put this back together? And my buddy said to me, we're not done until we exhaust all possibilities. And so we exhausted all our possibilities. We sat there and I said to him, between the two of us, we can figure this out. And I looked at it and I said, these gears got to go in these spots because this is it. And then, when something falls out, you start to think of all the things that can go wrong instead of focusing on how you could solve it. And once I started to shift my mindset, I started to see how everything went back together. Once we understood how everything went back together, then we were able to come up with a strategy of putting it back together because gravity was not working in our favor, because if we had to turn it upside down, things would fall out. If we did it sideways, we couldn't see the guided end. So we had to find a way to get one side where everything will hold in, then we could put it back together again. And then eventually it took two people and we got it back together. And then of course, fear kicked in again. Well, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work the way it used to? And then when we turned the tires, like each one went in different directions. I'm like, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. And my point is that every step of the way, we had to test and try things. And as we tried things, we went to the next thing and we went to the next thing. Eventually, we put it all back together. It worked fine. It's working fine now. And it gave me a whole different level of understanding and insight into a transmission. Now, I used to think that, this thing is super delicate, but I really had an appreciation for the machine work that goes into making these gears and putting these things all together. And at the end, the challenge was solved with a $10 clip. And that was amazing. And so the lesson learned is, if you focus on fear, you're going to freak out like I did and panic in the moment, as opposed to being in solution. As you start to be in solution, the fear goes away because you start to see what your options are. And that is the moral of the story, is don't panic. Look to see what your options are and just take it down one thing at a time. And before you know it, your fears are lessened and you are understanding what you need to understand in a completely different way. And you get a gift of this new level of awareness. And I think a lot of this has to do with my word of the year, presence. Presence has been my word of the year. And that is causing me to become more present to all the things that are going on in my life. So that has been a gift. And I'm loving it. So that's my thought for the day. A little bit longer than normal, but that's my thought for the day. And I really appreciate you all. And thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.